Hello and welcome again as we look at yet another multiple choice question for IB Chemistry. This particular question is modified from IB exams with this diagram being used in the question, but then I made some changes to the question. So it says, a student used this apparatus to measure the enthalpy of combustion of ethanol. Which of the following data is irrelevant to the calculation? So what do you want to do in this experiment? The purpose is to find the enthalpy of combustion of ethanol. And what you have is ethanol is being taken up here by this wick. It's set on fire and it's being used to heat up water. So what you're going to need to do to get the enthalpy of combustion of ethanol is mass multiplied by specific heat capacity multiplied by the change in temperature. An equation that students are familiar with, MC delta T. But very often, they are not sure about what M has to be used, what C has to be used, and of course delta T is the change in temperature. So to work out the enthalpy of combustion of ethanol, what you'll have to do is to know what amount of ethanol you have in here. Whatever, if it's a volume or if it's a mass, what amount of ethanol you have in here, and how much of it you burn. And then based on that amount that you burn, how much does it change the temperature of the water in here by? And that is delta T, the change in temperature. But what is changing temperature? It's the water. So that's the specific heat capacity of water is what you would need. And what's the M? It's the mass of water that you have in there. So mass of water by this multiplied by the specific heat capacity of water multiplied by the change in temperature, and that would give you the answer, of course using appropriate units, for the enthalpy of combustion of ethanol. But it won't be 1 mole or 2 moles or 0.5 of a mole. That would be something that you would have to calculate based on the amount of ethanol consumed. In other words, what volume of ethanol was consumed. So you need to know the volume of ethanol. That's for sure. You need to know the volume of water or the mass of water that you have. It's the same. You need to know the change in temperature of the water. The volume or the mass of the water, the volume or the mass of the ethanol. But what you don't need is the specific heat capacity of ethanol. And the answer to this question is D.